Welcome to a new episode of Outside the Panels with your host, Johnny the Machine Hughes.
Welcome everyone to an episode of Outside the Panels. I am your host, Johnny the Machine Hughes. Or this time around, should I say, bonjour, je m'appelle Johnny the Machine Hughes. That's right, I'm going international with a French-Canadian writer, artist, creator of a really, I've got to say, special book that I absolutely had the pleasure of checking out this morning. It is the fantastic Boum.
Hi.
Hello, how are you? I hope my French wasn't too bad, no?
No, it was fine. There's no mistake about it. It's good French. I hope my English does it justice.
I'm sure it'll be fine. Très bien. Très bien. Ça va?
Merci. Oui.
Oui, ça va. That's as much as I know from buying my school lessons.
Yeah.
I say et tu, and I know I'm doing it wrong. I say, oui, ça va, bien, merci, et tu?
Et toi?
Well, I know. It's been a while. You know, look at my grey hair. It's been a while since I've been in French. How are you? Congratulations. I have to say, I absolutely loved your book. I have been privileged to see a digital copy of this book, Jellyfish. And I have to admit, when I started looking through it, I was like, I had no idea what was going on. But this morning, I read it, cover to cover, big grin on my face, tears in my eyes, the whole thing. So absolutely well done. A well crafted book.
Thank you so much.
What's the I suppose what's the story of Jellyfish that we can give away without giving the spoilers away? Let's try and go from there.
It's the story of a young person who works in a bookstore. So it's a story about being in the early 20s, trying to live independent, like the new adult life. Like you want to, take your distance from your parents because, you're a young adult now. You can
you know everything. When you're 20, you know everything. You feel it.
Yeah, at 20, you know everything. And so it's the story of trying to attain some sort of independence, but it's mirrored by a sickness, a disease that the character has from the very beginning. They have a diagnosis of, they have a jellyfish in their eye, so a literal jellyfish that's floating around the main character that nobody can see except for them, for Odette. And so it's, without giving it away too much,
it's how Odette lives with this jellyfish.
Right? So it's with this new parasite in their life. So it's a story of grief, of a past life, of uncertainty, of the importance of a chosen family, of friends and like friendship and love, and as well. It's I like to say that it's inspired from my life. It's not my story at all. I am not like Odette, and I don't have their life, but I have had several eye diseases in the past. And so it's basically, I took my fears and my feelings because of the sicknesses I've been going through, and I gave them to a fictional character.
Okay. I have no idea what Odette's ever done to you to give her all this, but never mind. I don't know if this book's around because you're over in Canada, but there's a book in the UK, and it's a book. It's called Big Black Dog, and it's a book basically about how a man has a black dog, and the black dog represents depression and anxiety, and as the guy goes through his life, the dog gets bigger and bigger and bigger to the point where it over encompasses him, sort of thing. Of course, he gets some coping mechanisms and stuff, and throws a stick and the dog runs away like dogs do, and then all that sort of stuff. Initially, when I started reading your book, I was thinking to myself, "Oh, I know where this is going. It's an allegory for depression, for anxiety." It's not at all.
No,
absolutely. And I think this is the thing that got me turning the pages so much this morning, is that there is a level, there's a level of uncertainty in the reader because Odette has the jellyfish in her eye, but then by the same token, only they can see it. So then, is it like a Calvin and Hobbes thing where Hobbes is alive only when we see them? Is it something else? Is what's going on? Is it a mental health? So this whole thing intrigued me so much, and it's funny because you mentioned about eye diseases. I think anyone who's had any sort of disease knows how debilitating and how life changing that can be. Very brave to write about that, Boom. How did you feel, sort of like opening yourself up to that level of, I suppose, introspection, that kind of looking inward to tell your story?
Thank you. It's funny because I think this is my most personal book. This is my 16th book.
16. Where can I
16.
give you the 15? What's that about?
Some of them are in French and have never been translated, and a great bunch of them I have self-published. I do have them in English, but they don't have a distributor, so they're really hard to find. You have to order them from my website directly.
We'll have a look at the website.
But I have done autobio journal comics for 9 years. So it was me and my family. I have 2 kids and that kind of stuff. So it was very personal, but it was a funny, a strip gag type comic. And so the jellyfish is much more serious. And even though I am not the main character, it feels like this is the most personal work I have ever done so far. As for being brave and putting it out there, it did me a great deal of good, actually, to do it. It was very cathartic. Cathartic? How do you pronounce that?
You're right. You're the first time. You're right.
Where's the H in there? And so it stems from, how can I put it? It's when I realized along the way, through the years, that people around me, like my husband or my close friends, they would forget that I had eye diseases. I would see a huge blob in front of my vision. So it looked like a jellyfish. And I would say, I have a jellyfish in my eye. And the story practically wrote itself. And it's when I noticed that people around me would be like, hey, do you still have your jellyfish in your eye? And I would be like, oh, okay. If I don't talk about it, then it stops existing for you, but I get to see it all the time. And so I wanted to share my experience with a book and make the reader live what the character's going through. So the main character gets to see the jellyfish and they multiply, and the reader also gets to progressively through the book, reading the book gets harder and harder, and that was the whole shtick. I wanted the reader to experience the anxiety and be annoyed by the jellyfish.
It works. It works. Because at first I'm thinking, it's cute, it's fine, whatever, it's best pal, and then all of a sudden things take a turn, and I think the aspects that I found quite contrasting was that whenever something good seemed to happen for Odette, that's when things on the other side balance out and go equally as bad or potentially as bad. When you think about creating that story, do you worry that you're kind of not giving the reader the payoff that they want? The reader hopefully wants Odette to get better and to have a life, or is it the journey that's important, and we get to see Odette with those challenges and work through that?
Well, it's both. When I first thought of the story, there was no love interest at all, and I was worried that it was just going to be very, very depressing. And so I needed to add in some, glimmer of hope, something that Odette could hold on to, some positive aspect to the story. So I threw in other than the bunny. Oh yeah. The rabbit is also comes from my personal life, because I've had more than one pet rabbit. Now I have cats, but I used to have rabbits. So it's a nod to the rabbits that I have had and loved. But what was the rest of the question? So I did it on purpose And also, no, but yeah, it's important for me to have the main character or characters go through some sort of change throughout the book. I want them to be different by the end. They need to have learned something. And so I kind of happened naturally because, you know, that's life. Sometimes life happens and it doesn't always end well or as you would want it to end. And so that's how I tackled this book, I think.
Cool. All right. Excellent. You've used a phrase in earlier on in the conversation that I really quite like, and I've made a quick jot of it down here. What do you mean by chosen family? Because I think this is quite an aspect that we tend to take for granted.
Yeah. So the people you want to be with, it doesn't mean that your parents or, you know, close relatives understand the real you, or you know. It's because Odette's parents, their mother specifically, is very overbearing. She's controlling. It comes from a good place, but it's, you know, where you're trying to assert yourself and be, you know, an adult. Sometimes it can seem like it's too much.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to address the fact that Odette doesn't want to have anything to do with their mother, even though it doesn't mean that they are right about that. But that's what Odette wants at the beginning. And so the family they choose, like they have two very close friends that they hang out with, and that's the people who support her, who go to one person in particular. Anyway, I'm not going to go into details because it's going to be spoiling.
So yeah, and I think that's a great point. You know, family's family, but your friends are the people you choose to be with, right? There's a phrase. How's the phrase go? You can't choose your family, but you can choose your friends.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
And I think especially as you're going through that 19, 20, I suppose from 19 to 24, 25, you know, when you're striving to be your own person, your sense of self is different to your parents' sense of who you are. Then there's always going to be a little bit of to and fro about that, a little bit of tug of war, maybe.
Yeah, because you're still their child.
Yeah,
I have kids of my own.
You say that, but no, that doesn't happen. No. It hits a point and then it reverse round. For sure. So, writer, artist, correct?
Yep.
Which do you find more? And obviously, which do you find easier? Which do you prefer? Do you prefer the writing process, or do you prefer the art process, or is it a totally holistic thing where it just all joins together in one mash of creativity?
It's an interesting question. I consider comics or cartooning as a form of writing.
Okay.
But I'm like in my 16 books I have made, one of them I didn't write. I was only illustrating it. And that's where I realized that I didn't have any fun, really. So the writer was a very, very sweet person. We got along very well, and the book is fine. It's just that taking away the writing was taking away probably like 80% of the fun for me.
Oh, okay.
So I realized that probably writing is my favorite part of the process. I really enjoy drawing though. But if I had to choose, like, what if I could never write or draw again and I had to pick one? I would quit drawing. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's interesting that then, because I think I'm surprised. I mean, every answer is the right answer because it's about you, and you know no one's going to challenge that. But I kind of think to myself, if I could draw, but then I see your point. When I doodle for me, and I draw just daft things. I'm nowhere near as talented as anybody who does comic books. I'll draw like I've got a great idea for Wonder Woman, so I'll draw Wonder Woman in a pose. Yes, great. And then I'll say, right, I'll draw the buildings or whatever. And then, yeah, I'm bored of drawing buildings. I'll just leave the pose there.
Yeah, but drawing for fun is not the same thing. I feel like comics because comics is a form of writing, telling the story is my favorite part. And so if you take the writing away, then it's just drawing.
Yeah, that's the point. You've got to have some. Excuse me. I imagine that as a writer artist for yourself, it's the writing that bleeds into the context of the book.
I'm sorry.
Art.
Can you reword that? Maybe I didn't get the.
Sorry. So, as a writer, creator, artist, I would imagine that when you write and then draw, you're adding sort of context, you're adding weight to what you're doing. There's a point to it. Whereas if you're just drawing for drawing's sake, it's just a poster.
Yeah, but drawing for drawing's sake is fun too. I like doing mindless, brain dead fan art. It's super fun. I really like doing that. But like right now, I'm writing a script for another book, and I am almost done with the text phase of the writing, and I want to jump into the storyboarding, which is still writing, because storyboarding is like an ugly stick figure version of the book.
Ugly stick figures. You've seen my art already. Oh my God, that's an awful thing.
No, but what I mean is drawn very quickly, that if I don't know, along the way you decide to take 15 pages off, then you don't cry because you didn't spend too much time on them.
Yeah.
So it's a quickly drawn version of the comic, and that's a part I really, really enjoy doing. And it's not because the drawing part is especially fun to do, because it's crude and not much to look at, but because it's still writing. That's a lot of fun for me, and I'm itching to do that. I'm going to do that probably. I'm going to start probably by this Friday, like at the end of the week. I'm almost there.
So storyboarding is like the plotting, the pacing, to see which camera angles work, which camera angles not going to work. Where does the dialogue need to be? How do I get from point A to point B?
Yeah,
I get it.
That's the best part.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah. By which point you get to the art, like, man, can I not just hire someone to do this?
The storyboarding, the art, I could, but I also enjoy drawing.
Yeah,
so
there you go.
It's the coloring. I don't do color that well. I don't think I'm that good at it. I have done full color comics in the past, and I would totally hire somebody to do that for me, because I don't enjoy the process at all. Some people do wonders with color, and I'm not one of those.
I think I've said this before in different shows. I think coloring over the last 20, 25 years, maybe even 30 years, there's been the thing that's absolutely come leaps and bounds in comic books. The digital look, you can give it the kind of like, so you can see that it's digital. You can give it painted look. You can give it watercolor looks. You can, the whole, what you can do digitally now is massive compared to when I was a kid and buying comic books. So.
Like the Jellyfish, like the cover, it's all digital. It's like fake watercolor.
So. I can't say that. Don't give away the secret.
No, it's fine. It's my first entirely digital comic. Because of my eye diseases, it's become my crutch now. So I am more comfortable drawing digitally because I am blind in this eye. I have lost my eye. And actually, I was already working on the book, so that felt like it was some sort of weird coincidence thing where I was writing a book about eye vision loss, and then I lost my eye. And so because I have one working eye and one eye that doesn't. Can you hear that? That's my cat scratching. Can you hear it? No,
it's fine.
It's fine because I can hear it.
If it wants to be in, let it in. It's fine. I like cats. What's your cat called?
He's called Kirobero, which is a character in Cardcaptor Sakura. Cool. I have two cats. Oh, right. The one that's scratching, I know which one it is.
Cool. Well, if the cat wants to be in, by all means, let the cat in.
Maybe later. So because I have one working eye, the perception of death is not the same that it used to be, and drawing on paper, especially when it's close, like I could draw like at this distance, it would be fine, but because I don't draw like on an easel, drawing on paper is kind of difficult for me now. It gives me huge headaches. The line I'm drawing is never exactly where I intend it to be. And so I decided that I would probably be more comfortable working entirely digitally from now on. It might change. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe one day medicine is going to be so advanced that my eye is going to be brought back from the dead. But for now, that works for me. And it was a workflow that I really enjoyed for the Jellyfish, and I'm going to keep that one. And maybe try some other like fake digital brushes with like markers or something like that. It looks real, but it's not.
It's all real. It's all real. It doesn't matter to me the method by which you do it. You know,
no, it's true. It doesn't matter.
Pencil. It's still the talent of being able to think, oh, I want to see a character in a bookstore being exasperated because somebody's come up and said, I'm looking for a book, it's got a red cover. Yeah. So it doesn't matter if you do that on a computer screen or on a piece of paper or on a piece of cardboard or paint on a wall. It doesn't matter how you do it. It's still storytelling. It's fantastic. It's great work. And it's
thank you.
It's funny because I was in a comic book shop a couple of years ago, and I was buying bags and boards, and that scene I've just described in the book, the person in front of me said to the cashier, "I'm looking for a comic book. It's got aliens in it."
Oh.
To which point I looked at the cashier. The cashier looked at me and went, "Well, let's have a look and see what we've got." At which point I put down my boards and I put down my bags and I went out of the store, because finding a comic book about aliens is pretty much like falling off a boat at sea and hitting water. So I felt Odette's pain when that bit came up. So that was interesting. Right, we're going to take a break for one of our other shows before we come back. When we come back, we're going to have a look at the book. We're going to take a peek at some pages. Be warned, there are jellyfish abound. So if you don't like squidgy, fleshy, tentacle things,
they're cute. They're cute jellyfish. They look like, spiders of ink.
See, I don't like spiders. Well, you're not helping me out.
No, not spiders. Ink spatters.
Oh, ink splatters. I'll let you off with that then. That's fine.
Like,
unfortunately, I don't have anything that's particularly French Canadian in my adverts repertoire. So I'll tell you what, we'll try a little bit of this. This is a little bit different. It is our cosmopolitan show. It is K-pop Cosmos. Check it out. There you have it, the loudest advert in history.
It was loud.
K-pop Cosmos. It's the show once a month. Everything from K-pop music, fashion, and everything in between. Yes, I know there's still no fishnets on the show. Yes, I'll talk to Freya about it. Come on, what are you going to do? All right, okay. Enough chitter chatter. In the background, we've got Odette and her jellyfish companion. So let's get into the book and have a look at a few pages. There it goes. Purple, such a really evocative color. I really love that. I absolutely thought that was a great color.
Thank you.
Yeah. So sad. Looks so sad. It's awful.
Yeah, I was trying to go for something like between sadness and being annoyed.
Okay. Okay. It works. I like that a lot. So it's from Pow Pow Press, or which is the, did we say beforehand, it's the UK version of Pow Pow? Is that right?
Not UK.
Oh,
It's
sorry.
just the English language branch. It's the same people working in the French or English version. They do have François Vigneault, whose French name is misleading because he's actually from the US, who worked for the marketing department, and he's been really, really good at getting this book out. But like otherwise, it's the same people, same. We print at the same place, same paper, same editor, and everything. And it's a great team. And because they're in Montreal, I get to see them like in person, which is always nice when you're working to publish a book.
Indeed. I've got to ask a question. The book's originally written in French, correct?
Yes. Yes.
How difficult was it to translate into English for any sort of like language nuances? That cat wants to be in there. I heard the meow there.
He does.
Yeah.
I didn't translate it myself. So for the first time in my life, I worked with two translators. They were great to work with. They both spoke. We like spoke via like Zoom and that kind of thing when they had some questions about like the real meaning behind some speech bubbles or and so the translation is not always literal. It's the meaning is this, like the overall ambiance is the same. It was very great to work with them. I think my book might be even better in English than it is in French, because I guess English has more punch to it, like it's tighter. Especially there's not a fight scene, but an argument scene at some point, and I think it has more punch in English than it does in French.
Heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking, that fight scene. That argument scene. It is absolutely. And, I was like, wow.
Thank you. It was hard to write. Arguments and fights are hard scenes to write. The one struggle we had was for the pronouns, because in French the they them thing doesn't really exist. And French is a very gendered language. Everything from like chairs to walls so everything has a gender. It's either feminine or masculine. And so I wanted Odette to be in the middle, probably non-binary or gender fluid. But in French, we do have a pronoun now that is a mix of il, elle, so it's il, but it's still very new, and I don't think it even existed, or at least not like publicly existed when I started writing the book. And so I decided that in French, Odette would be a she, her. That was just be simple. But just looking at Odette, you kind of know that they're walking the fine line. Like gender is not really a thing.
I'm going to be honest.
Yes.
If I'm truly honest, I didn't even consider Odette's gender. I just saw Odette.
It's not important.
Exactly. I saw Odette as Odette, and I didn't need to know if they were he, she, or he, her, or whatever.
Because that's
to me, it's about a person.
That was my point too.
Who has friends, who has potential relationships, has other things going on, and maybe it's my liberal aspect, but I'm very much you love the person you love, and you are. I
love that,
and that's it. It's not
great
for me to turn around and say, "Oh, this character is clearly this," or "This character is clearly that." I don't do it in real life. I'm not going to do it on comic books. So to me, a debt's just a debt.
That's awesome. That's exactly what I wanted. It's not the main subject. It's just that it's something that we kind of had a struggle with for the translation, and we ended up not using any pronouns at all in the book. On the flaps and on the descriptions online for like Barnes and Noble, you have to have that kind of thing. And so we agreed. It used to be she, her, and then on the internet, there's like remnants of a past version on some websites, and so we agreed on they, them for the blurbs and that kind of thing, but the book has no pronouns whatsoever. I just wanted the reader to, because Odette's present in every scene, so pronouns are not used around them, because they are there. There's just one scene in the whole book where something happens because Odette is outside and the other characters are inside and they're talking about Odette. And so that's when we were like, let's just not use pronouns, because that's the only scene. So that was the one thing that we struggled with, but it was not a huge problem to solve.
I love how observed this panel is here, where Odette's on the toilet. That is exactly like my phone. It's like stuff I'm interested in, stuff that I'm like, what? And stuff like, how on earth did this get on my feed? So things like marine heat waves put oceans at risk. Yes, that's on the news. Fine. Droughts in Nigeria. Yes, on the news. What fruit do your breasts look like? Stuff like that. Random stuff. Which X-Men character are you? What does your cereal say about your life, your love life, and all that sort of stuff? I'm like, how does this get in my feed? I have no idea.
So we're all on the same internet.
Damn you, Google! Damn you to hell! Better not say that too much. I'll get bad. I thought the art, Odette's expressive all the way through. The jellyfish is the constant companion. And at one point I was kind of okay with that. Things do take a bit of a turn. But the area that you've drawn, the bookshop and the area that Odette lives in, is this from your experience, or did you take reference points, or?
Odette lives in my first apartment. I remembered what the inside looked like. For the outside, I had to go take photos. And so I went. I took several reference photos. Pretty much every outside shot in the book, because it's all set in Montreal where I live. So every outdoor shot, I physically went there and took pictures. And so it means that I hung out around my old apartment a bunch of times. And I don't know if the current tenants saw me, like, oh, here's that freak taking pictures again, because I would climb on their balcony because I needed like reference pictures, like, what do you see from the balcony? Do you get to see this or that, whatever. And so I feel like some sort of spy doing something illegal, like climbing on their balcony and taking pictures. So I never saw them, so I don't know. They probably spotted me a few times. And so the rest of it, there's a few nods. They stop at a liquor store at some point, and it exists. The market also, it's a real place in Montreal. And then there are some made-up places, like the bookstore does not exist. And I checked that there was no bookstore called apostrophe. That's for the English version. The bookstore is called apostrophe because it's a bilingual word. And it works in French and in English. And that was the translators who insisted, because in French it's point virgule, which is semicolon. And because Montreal and Quebec in general has a law that prevents any store from having an entirely English name, it has to have some sort of like second cup. In Quebec, it's Le Café second cup. It has to have a French part to it.
Oh,
Le Café Starbucks. So yeah. And so apostrophe was a bilingual word that worked in both languages, where English speaking readers would not feel thrown off by the name, and French, and it was still true to the Montreal scene. And so I checked that there was no apostrophe bookstore or point virgule in French either. There's one, both of them exist in France, I think, which is fine.
This is kind of like a day in the life of Odette, so you get to see them being quite cheeky, putting 50 Shades in the kids section. Tut. This is the character looking for the book with the red spine. Well done. And this is just the random other stuff that they go on. Absolutely, again, such a well observed slice of life. The setup pages just get you right to where you need to be before things start changing for Odette. So I'm so glad that you've spent so much time setting these pages up, because without these pages, you don't get the emotional impact of the later pages. So,
Thanks. I'm relieved, because when I was doing them, when you start working on a project, your first thought when you get started is, this is the best idea ever. And then when you've been working on it for 3 years, you kind of like, this is terribly boring. And so I had no real idea by the end if this was any interesting at all. And then when it came out, and honestly, it's my most successful book so far, and it's had a very, very good life in French, and I'm hoping the English version will have a good life as well. And I'm kind of surprised. So it's I'm reassured that you think these pages are interesting, because I thought they were needed. Just
Agreed.
For what Odette is going to be losing, or what they think they're going to be losing.
Yes.
I had to put all of these elements into place to then throw
absolutely.
Jellyfish in there.
Yeah, and I think you've done really well not kind of jumping the gun and getting to like the kind of like the big emotional bits first. You are spending the time getting to know Odette, and I think that's absolutely key, because as a reader, you're on the ride with Odette. I'll tell you a little secret, Boum. The way this morning I looked at the book when I got to work early, my day job early, and I downloaded the book onto my phone, so I'm scrolling through, and people were coming in, they're like, "Hi Johnny, how you doing?" I'm like, yeah, whatever, whatever. And then, but it got to about 5 to 9, and someone said, "You're not really here, are you?" I'm like, "No, I'm reading. I'm sorry, I'm here." And I was like 140 pages in by that point. I was like, "I am not finishing till I get to the end of this book."
Yay, awesome. That's not even halfway.
So honestly, I was like, "Whoa!" I mean, it's a big read. There's a lot of pages.
Yeah, it was. It's my biggest book so far. And I was scared at first, because when I wrote the script, I knew I was going to, do more than 200 pages for this book. But I don't think, hopefully there's not too many pages. I think there's just enough. I needed some beats. Like I like for the comics to breathe sometimes. Mm-hmm. So I put blank pages in there, and so something happens and you kind of go like, okay, and then the next scene starts. That's how I like my books to be paced. It was a learning process. Hopefully it's a good one.
Well, it worked for me. I thought the book was fantastic. I really did.
Thank you so much.
You have a website. There we go.
Yes.
Check it out. The web link. Where are my banners? You know what? I don't have the link on there. Give me 2 seconds. We'll sort that out. What can we find on your webpage?
Well, this one is Boomers. It's a webcomic I did from 2011 to 2020, with some more new ones every year on Hourly Comic Day. Do you know about Hourly Comic Day? Because I still do it. No, it's on February 1st. So it's an event where cartoonists, amateur and professionals worldwide do one comic every hour about their day. And so this is the comic I did first. My first real professional comic is this journal comic. So that's me with the glasses. And this set is just how my trip to the comics festival in Angoulême went this January. And so I did a strip 3 times a week for 9 years. And so I have about 1,700 strips on this website, and it's all free to read. But I have self-published books in both languages, so English and French, and you can order them on my shop on this website.
I'm just reading some of the strips. Excellent. So you have links here, about shop, links to Facebook and Tumblr and so
Tumblr,
on.
I don't even use anymore. I should update that.
Yeah, no one uses Tumblr anymore.
Yeah, I know.
For everyone who can speak French, as you heard by my opening act, that's not me. There's the La Francais version there,
Mhm.
so you can click on that and it will translate all that for you. Very good. I'm liking that. The link is there for all that. Excellent. You have a Patreon.
I
What can
do.
people expect on the Patreon?
Work in progress, snippets of what I'm working on that I don't post anywhere else. My patrons that have been there since 2019 have seen the not like the whole book, but they have seen me work on the Jellyfish from the beginning. So from the pitch, where I would post like character sketches, researches, and that kind of thing, and I would talk about, okay, so I'm pitching this to this publisher, blah blah blah, and this is what the pitch is about. And here's a page I've been, here's a page I've penciled. Here's a good panel from today. So I would post snippets of the book as I was making them.
Cool.
On Patreon, and now I'm working on a new book, so they're gonna have that treatment all over again.
They're going to get the first look. So if you want the first look at the new book, check out the Patreon.
A good chunk of my patrons are English speaking, and so the book hasn't come out in English yet, and they've been waiting for this for 5 years. So they're pretty excited.
This should be the book's great. You're on social media also.
I am.
There you go. There's your Facebook and your Insta.
Yep.
Look, there you go. Check that out.
Where I post Instagram and Facebook, I update almost daily on weekdays with the Boomery strips you just posted. They're reposts. They're not new stuff. So no, I did not just have a baby. She's 8 now. People have been congratulating me. I'm like, no.
Congrats.
It's a rerun just so I keep feeding the algorithms because I'm working in secret on other things that I can't show. So that's just my way of not disappearing from the internet.
Oh dear. Excellent. All right. Boom, that's fantastic. We're coming to the end of the show, so give us your 60-second elevator pitch of why people should be heading out to your website and trying to order the Jellyfish.
Jeez, so much pressure.
Yeah, sorry about that.
It's a very honest book about people have been telling me that this book can they can relate to the main character just because it works for just about any chronic disease or depression. People have been feeling what the main character feels, and it's a really bad elevator pitch. I was not prepared for that.
No, it's fine. Sorry.
It's just I put a lot of heart into this book, and I've had so much fun doing it, even if it's kind of on the sad side. I think the fun seeps through the pages because it shows that it did me a great deal of good to do this book, and I think it's hopefully it's worth reading.
Well, okay, I'll try to help you out with this. All right, my elevator pitch, why people should check out this book. It is a gorgeously observed slice of life for a young 20-year-old who deals with change and how that change affects them, their friends, their family, and their life. There you go.
Yeah, you're better at this than I am. Definitely.
Check it out. Honestly, you can get it on Amazon. You can get the pre-orders put in there. If you're in the UK, US, you'll be able to do the same. You'll be able to buy the book from loads of different places.
Yeah, it comes out on May 8th.
May 8th. Have you got that? Yeah. Not May the 4th. It's just Star Wars. Yeah, a few days after that. All right.
May 8th is Jellyfish Day.
Excellent. You know what? We should get badges. Pins. We should get pins. Yeah. Happy Jellyfish Day.
I can't wait.
Boom. You've been fantastic. Thank you so much for spending the time with me. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
I hope the cat hasn't wrecked the living room door.
Yeah, I'm going to find out soon.
I know what cats are like. The book reads great. It's gorgeous. It has emotional impact. It is, you know what? It is a really good read. I really enjoyed it. I cannot say enough good things about it. So thank you so much for telling your story.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Merci beaucoup, as they say somewhere. Right, that's it for an episode of Outside the Panels. Don't forget to check out UCPM for all your favorite shows, including, you saw the trailer for it earlier, the K-Pop Cosmos. If you like your comics with the DC slant, check out the Definitive Crusade. And if you like your Marvel books, check out the No Prize podcast, where I'm sure the guys will be talking X-Men 97. What can I say? They're more than reruns. I don't know.
Looks good, though.
Yeah, it depends if you like X-Men. Boom. Once again, thank you so much. I really do appreciate your time. Thank you.
My pleasure.
I have been your host, Johnny Machine Hughes. And as always, on this occasion at least, au revoir.